Hello everyone, welcome to lecture. And guys, today we are going to talk about a Boolean and operator. So this lecture is not going to be very big, but yeah, it's an important one. I think you all are supposed to go through this particular lecture. Plus I have given you assignment for this particular lecture, so you can try to go through assignment, which is going to give you a lot more exposure when you are going to solve that particular assignment. So let's get started, guys. Let me share my screen, and today I'm going to talk about Boolean and operators. Let me select my kernel first. So here is my kernel I have selected. Now, so in my previous class, I have already talked about a true and false, right? I have already talked about a Boolean operator called as true and a false. So whenever I say like a true, so yeah, it is going to like a true. And if I'm going to check, so what is a type of this true? So type of basically this true, true. So it is going to give me basically it's a Boolean operator, right? So there are two kind of a Boolean operator. One is a true, one is a false. Now with respect to this operator, if I'm going to perform some sort of a mathematical operation, arithmetic operation, so true into true is going to be what? It's going to be 1, because internally system try to consider while doing a mathematical operation or arithmetic operation that true is equals to 1. So 1 into 1 is equals to 1. This is something that I will be able to get. Similarly, so true into, again, if I'm going to write like a false over here, so it is going to be 0. So 1 into 0 is equals to 0 at the end of the day. So these are the two different Boolean operator you will be able to find out inside Python. Now let's talk about something with respect to this true and false. So whenever I say that 5 is greater than, so greater than is again comparison operator. So 5 is greater than 3, it is going to give me true, right? So wherever I'm trying to do a comparison, wherever I'm going to use this operator, and this operator is called as what? So this operator is called as basically a comparison operator. So greater than, so 5 is greater than 3, whether it's true or false. So yeah, it's true. So it is going to give me true eventually. Now, if I'm going to say that 6 is lesser than, right? 6 is lesser than like 2. So it is going to give me what? It is going to give me false. So this lesser than that you are able to see, it's again a comparison operator. So greater than is one of the comparison operator, lesser than is another comparison operator that you will be able to find out. And based on the condition or based on the like things that you have written over here, so it is going to return either true or it is going to return you a false. Simple. Now, so moving ahead, now here if I'm going to write that 5 is greater than, and then along with this greater than, if I'm going to write equal to, right? So greater than equal to 7. Now what will happen in this situation? So when I'm going to write 5 is greater than equal to 7, so it is going to check either of these conditions. So either this is supposed to be true, so this whole statement is going to be true, or the second one is supposed to be true, so the whole statement is going to be true. So here when I'm trying to check that 5 is greater than 7, so no, 5 is not greater than 7. Now 5 is equal to 7, no, not at all, 5 is not even equal to 7. So in that situation, this whole statement is going to be false. So I'm able to receive a false over here. Now similarly, maybe I can try to write a couple of other conditions over here. So 5 is like greater than equal to 3. So here it will try to check greater than. So yes, 5 is greater than true, and we are not checking 5 is equal to 3 because it's already true. So either of these conditions are going to be true. So the whole statement is going to be true at the end of the day. Now, so 5 is lesser than equal to, right? So again, I'm going to use like a lesser than. So lesser than equal to a 4. So here 5 is neither lesser than nor equal to 4. And in that situation, we are getting what? So we are getting basically a false over here. Now, similarly, I can write a couple of more conditions. So maybe 1 or 2. So 6 is lesser than equal to basically like a 7. So yeah, 6 is lesser than equal to 7. So one of these conditions are true. So the whole statement is going to be true. Now, all of these statements I'm going to use so many times in my future classes, in my upcoming classes, when I'm going to teach you a logic. So this comparison is pretty much important for all the beginners. Again, so those who have already done the coding, I know that you are already aware about all of these things. But yeah, those who are beginner, so obviously you are supposed to execute at least once so that you will be aware about each and everything. Now, there is something called as logical operator. This is the comparison operator I was talking about. So lesser than or greater than or maybe equal to. So these are the comparison operator. Now there is something called as logical operator. So let's try to understand that what is this logical operator and how it is going to work. So I'm assuming that in your childhood you must have gone through and or not kind of a table, right? In your childhood we all have gone through those kind of a tables. Maybe we are not able to recall it, but yeah, we all have gone through those kind of a table. So let me draw that table first of all. So let's suppose if I'm going to draw and table. So if I'm going to pass input like x and y, so if I'm going to pass input x and y, now what will be the output in case of AND table? So here, so if I'm going to pass 1 and then 1, x is equal to 1, y is equal to 1, the output is going to be 1. X is equal to 1, y is equal to 0, output is going to be 0. X is equals to 0, y is equals to 1, output is going to be 0. X is going to be 0, y is going to be 0, so output is going to be 0. Now when I'm saying 1, it simply means that true, right? So true, 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 false, 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 true, false, 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 false in case of AND table. And this is the logical table that we have already discussed. This is the logical table for AND, right? And only these 4 conditions exist in case of a logical AND table. These are the only 4 situations that you are going to encounter. Now, if I'm going to talk about a OR logical table, right? If I'm going to talk about OR logical table in the exact similar manner, so I'm going to pass x over here, y over here, and then I will be looking for the output. So here is the 4 things which will go. So 1, 1, right? In case of OR, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, and then 0, 0, 0. So wherever we have 1, at least once, it is going to give me 1. Wherever we have true, in other word, you can say that wherever we have true, it is giving me true. And wherever we have only one true, it is giving me true. And wherever we have all falses, it is going to give me false. Simple. And in case of AND, so wherever we have even a single 0, it is giving me false. And wherever we have all ones, it is going to give me ones. So this is a logical table of AND and OR. And here, so if I'll talk about not, so basically this is just a negation of true. So not of true, I can say not of true is equals to false, and then not of basically false is equals to true. True. So this is just a negation, right? Negation of these things. Now, so in Python, you will be able to find out these logical operator and, or, and not. You will be able to find out these 3 logical operator, and you can use it as per the table which is given to you. So let's try to understand that particular part. So let's suppose if I'm going to write that true and true basically. So we know from the table that true and true is going to be true. Now if I'm going to write true and basically false. So and is a reserved keyword, true and false. So basically it is going to be false. False and true. So it is going to be what? False. We all know that. False and basically false. So false and false is going to be false. So again, whatever we have seen in case of table, exact same thing we are able to observe even over here. And this is the AND logical operator. Simple, right? Simple. A childhood memory we are just trying to freshen up once again. Now in case of OR, what is going to happen? So here I'm going to write maybe true or true. True or true. So true or true is going to be true. Then I'm going to write a true or false. So it is going to be true, as we all know. Then I'm going to write false or true. It is going to be true. And then false, false or false if I'm going to write. So false and false is also going to be false. As simple as that, right? So this is coming from OR table if I'm going to use OR reserved keyword inside a Python. Now, if I'm saying that not true, false, not false, not false, true, just a negation, right? Just a negation of it. So this is a logical table and these are the logical operators. So wherever, right, wherever you have this kind of a circumstances where you are dealing with this true and false kind of a situation, over there you should be knowing that what could be the outcome. I'm going to give you one example over here, guys. So here, let's suppose if I'm going to write that 5 is lesser than 10, right? And I'm going to write that 9 is greater than basically 5. Now, what will be the output? The output is going to be true. Why it is giving me true? Let's try to understand that particular part. So here when I'm saying 5 is lesser than 10, this one, right? This one. So this one, 5 is lesser than 10, this is true basically. Now 9 is greater than 5, this is true basically. So true and true, from true and true, right? It is going to be true. So again, this condition, this is what the kind of a real-time condition I was talking about. So whenever you are going to do a comparison, so comparison is going to happen in this way. And then eventually you will be able to calculate, or you will be able to compute the final outcome. Simple, right? You will be able to compute or calculate the final outcome. Now let's move ahead, right? Let's move ahead. Let's try to see a couple of like a more example. Maybe I can give you like one more example from this one. 5 is equal to 5. So equal to is another operator, and 10 is greater than 10. So let's see how we are able to get this outcome. So 5 is equal to 5, obviously true. And 10 is greater than 5, obviously it's true. True and true is going to be true. You can try to check with any other condition by writing any kind of a statement, and that is going to work in exact same manner. Exact same manner it is going to work. Okay, so now moving ahead, guys. So we have basically and, or, and not, right? We have basically three operator: and operator, or operator, and not operator. Now, how these operators are going to behave when it will be used together, right? So which one will be like having a highest priority and which one will be having a lowest priority? Let's try to understand that particular part in a very first place. So here, when I'm talking about like a and, or, and not, so you can decide a priority in this way. So not will be having highest priority, and then and will be having a second highest priority, and then or will be having a third highest priority. Please remember this one. Not will be having the highest priority, then and then or. Now let me show you the example. Let me delete this entire table. Yeah. So now let me show you the example that why I'm saying this why I'm making this statement that not will be having the highest priority, and then and will be having the highest priority, and then or will be having the highest priority. For example, so here if I have written that true or false and false and false, it is giving me true by the way, right? It is giving me true by the way. Now how it is giving me true by the way? Let's try to understand. So here, this is the open statement. Now let's try to do a calculation. So true or false, right? True or false. We know that true or false is going to be true. Yeah. And then true and false I'm going to do. So true and false is supposed to be what? Supposed to be true, and false supposed to be false, right? False. But what is the output that I'm receiving? The output that I'm receiving is equal to true. Now, how I'm receiving this true when my expectation was false if I'm doing this kind of a calculation? So let me talk about this. That's the reason. So I was talking about basically a precedence. So like I said, that precedence will be given to operator in this manner. Not will be having the higher precedence, highest priority, and then and will be having the priority, and then or will be having the priority. So it is going to move priority wise in this particular manner. So here we have and or, right? Two operator I'm trying to use, two logical operator I'm trying to use. So we have and operator, and we have basically or operator. Like I said, that and will be having the highest priority as compared to or. So it is going to do a computation first of all for this one, for and operator. So false and false is going to be what? False. And then we have true. So true and true or false. So true or false is going to be what? True and false is going to be basically true. And that is the reason. So we are able to receive true. That's the only reason, right? So here operator precedence comes into a play. And because of that, so we are able to see this particular outcome. Let me show you a little bit of permutation of the same thing. So here, what I can do is maybe I can try to create a bracket, and then inside a bracket, I'll try to keep the same statement, right? And now let's try to execute. It's the same statement, but my result has changed. Why? So are we not going to talk about the operator precedence over here? So are we not going to say that and will be having the highest precedence? No. The reason is that here we have introduced a bracket. So bracket parenthesis will be having a highest precedence as compared to the operator. Now here, so whatever is available in the bracket will be given a highest priority. So this will be executed first. So true or false. So basically it is going to be true and false. So basically it is going to be false. That is the reason. So we are getting for the same statement, right? This statement looks same apart from the parenthesis that I'm using over here, but the result is going to be changed. So it's all about giving a priority, as simple as that. Hope it is making sense to all of us, guys. Yeah. Now let's talk about a couple of more scenario over here. So here, if I'm going to write that not, you can do like as many permutation combination as possible. So not true or false. Okay, so I'm like writing this not true or false. Now how we are able to get this result? So not true is, let me do the manual calculation. So not true means false, and false or false, so it is supposed to be false. So here obviously precedence is given to basically a not first, right? A not first, and then we are trying to do a calculation, as simple as that. Yes, as simple as that. So now moving ahead, now here if I'm going to change it as a false, yeah, now result has changed. Now how this calculation is happening, let's try to understand. So is it happening in this way? Once false and false or false is going to be false, not of false is supposed to be true. Or is it happening in this way? So not of false is going to be true, and true or false is going to be true eventually. So first of all, it will try to do the calculation for this one, and then whatever will be the result, it will try to do a calculation with this one. So simple, it is going to follow the operator precedence. So where not will be having a highest precedence or highest priority as compared to or that we have inside our statement. Okay, that's great. That's cool. Now let's move ahead and let's try to say that true and then or false, not true. Yeah. True or false, not true. So what is the issue over here? TR. Okay. Okay. This is statement. Yeah. So and not true. So let's suppose if I have written this statement. Now this statement is going to give me what? This statement is going to give me true. So how this statement is going to give me true? So obviously it is going to follow the operator precedence. So first of all, it will try to do a math for this not. So not true is equals to false. Then it is going to give a precedence to what? To and. So false and false. So false and false will become what? So false and false will become false. And then true or false is going to be true. So this is how we are able to get the answer. So obviously it is going to give a priority not and then or, as simple as that. Now let's move ahead and let's try to like write some different separate statement over here. So if I'm going to like write a simple one, maybe 3 plus 2 is greater than like 8. So yeah, 3 plus 2, 5. So first of all, it is going to perform the arithmetic operation. So here, why I have written this statement, just try to carefully check. So here I have written the statement. So maybe you can try to do in this way that 2 is greater than 8. 2 is greater than 8. So which is going to be false. False means basically 0. And then 3 plus 0. Eventually, this is not going to lead me to any answer. So here what it is trying to do? So it is trying to do the arithmetic computation. First of all, 3 plus 2, 5. 5 is greater than 8, which is false. So eventually it is going to give me false. This is how even with the arithmetic operator, it is going to perform the calculation. Yeah. Now let's talk about truthy and falsy. Truthly and falsy. So basically, whenever I have maybe like a true variable, and if I have to check a data type, let's suppose if I'm going to check what is a data type of this like a true type of this true, it is going to give me what? It is going to give me bool, means boolean, right? It is going to give me boolean. Now the same method, the boolean method that we have over here, the same method I can try to use basically for what purposes? For a typecasting. I can try to convert anything into a boolean if I want. So for typecasting purposes, I can try to use a bool keyword, means to convert anything into true and false. Now here, this is where truthfully and falsely comes to a picture. Just a simple concept, a normal concept you will be able to get. So here, if I'm going to write a bool of what? So bool of, if I'm going to write like a 0, it is going to be what? False. Now if I'm writing bool of maybe some numbers, any numbers, so it's going to be true. Bool of some negative numbers, if I'm going to write over here some negative number, so it is going to be true. So here you must be able to see that if I'm writing 0, bool of 0, if I'm doing this typecasting, so in that case it is going to be false, otherwise it is going to be true with any numbers that I'm going to give, right? Now let me give you a couple of more scenarios. This is called as truthfully and falsely. So we are trying to convert something into truth and false. So here we have an empty string. It's going to be false, right? A string I have passed. Now bool, and then here I'm going to pass my name SUDHNSHU. So I have passed some string, became true in terms of typecasting. So I'm just trying to show you that how I'm able to do the typecasting over here, even for like a separate kind of a data. Let's suppose I have a list, empty list over here. It's going to be false. Let's suppose I'm going to like keep a list in this place, but with some data. So it is going to be give me true. So here bool is going to give you false all the time if things are empty, if things are 0. It is going to give you true if things are not empty, if things are non-zero. As simple as that. Very simple, right? And this is something called as truthy and versus falsy, basically. So we are going to convert something into a false, something into a true based on the result. Now here, so I'm going to write like a bool of basically none. None we already know, right? So here it's going to be false for none at least. Now this is one of the state of operation that you can try to do with respect to bool. Now there is another operator. So we talked about basically a logical operator. We talked about a comparison operator. Now there is an operator called as identity operator, right? There is an operator called as identity operator, and is and is not is a part of that. So basically it will try to check the identity, and based on the identity, it is going to give you true and false. Let's try to like observe that. So here, let's suppose I'm going to write a is equals to 5, and then I'm going to write b is equals to a. Yeah. So now we know that how this data will be stored inside a memory. I think I told you, and we talked about it in my previous class, that whenever we say a is equal to 5, so obviously there will be a 5 and a will be referring to it, right? This is the meaning of it, right? So a is equals to 5, so a is referring to 5. Very simple. Now when I'm trying to say that b is equals to a, so it is not going to create some new space or new data it is going to store. It is going to refer to the same one. So a and b is referring to the exact same one. I can even confirm, and I can even go and cross check the same thing. So maybe I can try to write over here that ID of a. What is the ID of a? This one, which is the address, and ID of basically b. So now if you will go and check what is the ID of a and b, you will feel like it's same, because both are referring to the same location, same address where 5 is stored, right? So address is exactly same in this particular situation. Yeah, in this particular situation. Now I'm going to use basically identity operator, which is. I'm going to check, right? So a is, if I'm going to say that a is b, it is going to give me what? Yes, a is b, because both of the addresses are same, right? So a is actually b, a is b, this person is this person, something like that, right? So a is b. Now I'm going to give you one more scenario over here. Basically I'm going to create not a, so maybe x I'm going to take, and x, let's suppose I'm going to maybe take like a list over here 4 5 6, and then x is equals to, okay, before that let me take some other example, guys. So x is equals to 9 and y is equals to 9. Okay, fine. X is equal to 9, y is equal to 9. Now we know that how system is going to store the data. So 9, both the variable x and y is having values equals to 9. So same object. So here it is going to store 9. So when I say x is equal to 9, so it is going to refer to x. When I'm going to say y is equal to 9, so it knows that okay, 9 is available. It is going to not create or allocate a new memory address just to save the memory. It is going to point to the same location. Fine. It is going to point to the exact same location. Now I can even go and cross check. I can verify this part, right? So whether it is allocating a same memory location or not. So here I can go and check ID of x, ID of x, fine. And then ID of basically y I can try to check over here. Now both is giving me the exact same address, right? You can do the comparison 8613 800. So both is giving me the same memory location. Both is available at the same address. It's pretty much clear to all of us, right? Pretty much clear. Now I'll show you something surprising over here. So let's suppose I'm going to create U and I'm holding a list inside it, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. And then I'm going to create like a V, and then I'm going to hold exact same data. Nothing different, right? Inside U. Yeah. So as you can see, so inside U, I'm going to hold what? So inside U, I'm going to hold list of 4, 5, and 6. So this is my U, by the way. And then I'm trying to create a V, right? I'm trying to create a V, and again, I'm holding the same data. I'm holding the same data. Now, ideally, as per this logic, as per this particular logic, it is not supposed to hold a different address, right? It is supposed to hold it in a same address. And this is how it is supposed to hold it, but it's not doing it. And why I'm saying you that? So let me first cross check that whether the claim which I'm trying to make is true or not. So I'm going to check ID, ID of what? ID of U. And then I'm going to check ID, ID of what? I'm going to check ID of V. Now just do the math, do the comparison over here. So if you are going to do a comparison between this and this, so the address is different for U, address is different for V, although the data is same, right? Although the data is same, but you will be able to find out that address is completely different. And again, if I'm going to do like U is V, it is going to give me false basically. So if I'm going to use a identity operator, which is a is operator, which try to do a comparison based on the address location, it is going to give me false. What is the reason? Now in this situation, it is not, but in this situation, it is, but situation looks like same to me. So where is a difference between these two situations, by the way? There is a huge amount of differences you will be able to find out. You can't mutate this object, right? You can't pass this object. You can't try to like do some sort of extraction out of this particular object. But here, so this object is a mutable object. List object is a mutable object. I can try to change anything that I want at any places at any point of a time. That is a main difference. So I talked about a immutability concept with respect to a string in my previous chapters. When I'm going to talk about a list, I'll be again talking about a mutability and immutability concept by giving you a lot of examples over there. And then you will be able to understand maybe in a better way. But yeah, as of now, if I have to give you the answer is that list is a mutable entity. I can come and change data at any places. That's the reason. So it is not going to hold into a same memory location, because if I'm going to make some changes in U, it will reflect in a V as well. If it is holding into a same location, which is not a good idea, right? Because both the objects are completely different. I have declared both the object in a separate manner. So it's not like I should change something here and it should get changed over here. That's the reason. So it always allocates a separate addresses, unless and until we are not going ahead with the deep copy. So that will be discussed. So once time will come, so that will be discussed obviously inside your class. So this is something that you will be able to find out. Now, if I'm going to do like U is V, it is going to give me false, by the way. Yeah. And why it is giving me false? I think we all know the answer and we can see the answer, right? Both the IDs are different. For both of this, a memory address is completely different, right? Memory address for this one is completely different. And that is the reason it is going to give me this particular result. So I can try to use is, or I can try to use is not. So maybe I can try to use U is not V. That's true. U is not V, by the way, because both is not holding something at the same memory location. So this is all about this identity operator, guys. So hope all of you are able to learn a lot from this particular chapter. And I have already attached the assignment inside this chapter. So please go through this assignments and please try to complete this assignment as much as you can without taking help of AI. Obviously, I'm not saying that you should not take help from AI, but I think now is not a right time. Now you should do something on your own so that you can teach your brain that how things are working. And then in a later stage, we all are using AI. So obviously you are free to use AI as much as you can. And even from a Euron side, Uri is available. So with that, thank you so much, everyone. Take care. See you again in my next lecture.